Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy. Be a few weeks before this one comes out. But like this week I'm recording 3. So I'm trying to like stockpile for the holidays.
Got it.
Because I tried that in the spring and I thought I had stockpiled enough and I thought, oh, I'll get somebody here or there in the summer. Oh my God, it was so hard. So
because everybody's gone.
Because everybody's gone. So I know everybody be on from Thanksgiving to probably second week in January.
Bye-bye.
It's going to be really hard. Yep. So I'm trying to stack them, do 2 or 3 a week until Thanksgiving. And then I can kind of go, oh, I don't want to do one this week. Although I don't ever feel that way. This has been really fun.
It is. It sounds like it. I mean, I listen to it and it's...
Well, you know...
I love it.
I've always been really curious as a person and... always wanted to learn. So I've tried to approach every one of them with what can I learn? Right. Even if we're having fun and we're talking about goofy stuff, you always end up learning something.
Dude, it always goes someplace. It always goes someplace.
It always goes someplace. That's what's interesting because all of the women that are in this neighborhood really are dynamic, bright, usually very open, sensitive, caring, good listeners. I mean, there are very few, or at least the women I hang out with.
No, I think you're right. It's rare in the neighborhood. And, well, Tracy, you've been in the neighborhood for years and years and years before it was like this. I mean, you're one of the people who helped start and build up, right?
I was.
You were?
I was? I don't know.
You were?
I think so. I just do what I do.
I know, but that's what...
She's a mover and a shaker.
That's what,
Thank you.
That's what resides here.
Yeah.
So you do what you do. Yeah. But it happens to be that so many of the... And the men, too. I mean, and a lot... It really
brought a couple in
itself.
and out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Mine don't stick. This one will. This next one will.
But it revolves around the school.
Yeah,
it does.
It does.
It does revolve around the school. And last night, I know this is going to come out way after Halloween, but last night was Halloween. Right. And it's one of the most amazing nights of the year in this neighborhood because it's like, I feel like we're in the 50s. Your kids can just go wherever. And if they fall down, they're 1 or 2 houses away from somebody they know.
Yep.
And there's going to be someone on the street who sees them fall and helps them and has somebody's phone number in our group. And, it's just such an easy way to raise kids for LA.
Right.
And I don't think this is the same even one neighborhood over. If you go to North Hollywood or to Studio City or... I've never lived in those places, but when I go there and just park on the street, people are not as friendly or as open, just kind of walking around. So I would assume that's a reflection of who lives there. I mean, maybe it's a poor assumption.
Well, but remember that if you go into those neighborhoods, you're not a local, but you're not at that school. So you're not going to know any of the other people where they would come, say hello. Although I have to say in the Valley in general, you if you don't know them from your temple or church, or you don't know them from soccer or baseball or softball or from after school activities of some sort or something like that, you've seen them in Trader Joe's. That is my default. It's like, right. That's why I know you.
That's true.
Trader Joe's. Because you recognize everybody.
Right.
And, cars honk and people wave.
Yeah.
And sometimes, when...
I love that.
The
waving, just drive you by like, hey, I see
or you get the text, I just passed you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you reply back, stop texting.
Right? You're not texting while you're driving.
Right. Wait, I'm texting while I'm driving. Never mind.
Or
I never saw you.
Stop sexting because Siri hates me, so she gets everything wrong. Because if you say it.
What? Wait, I missed something.
Like if you text somebody back and you say stop texting because they're texting you hello when they pass by, if you're using voice, Siri, she always gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Yes,
Siri
she
does.
does.
She does not speak Southern accent very well.
I can't even imagine what you get.
She screws up Southern accent. And the thing in my car where I go, dial this number, because I still am a freakish person who memorizes people's phone numbers still. So I'll go, call 323. And she's like, call 481. I'm like, no, I said 323. There's one number in particular, 8. She cannot understand 8. I have to go 8, and then she can get
She's training you.
Right? I guess. I mean, it's hard to retrain that muscle memory for 48 years.
They have a new thing coming out in cars called gesture control. And it's like standing in front of
you go like this?
The X box. So if you want the sound to go up louder, you go like this. And I'm like, this is definitely a cause for an accident.
Freeway?
Right?
Like,
yes.
Everybody's...
Well, you think that they're flipping them off instead, right? Turn the sound up.
We have
gesture
that
control
in our BMW.
That's
exactly
who's coming doing
Or
it.
I like to call the disco mobile.
Right, a disco mobile. You take your index and your your bird finger.
Yeah.
And you like point really fast and it changes the channel.
Yeah.
Except my kids think it's funny to flip off like British style.
Right.
And it still changes the channel. They go,
Well,
bing,
it's an international company.
bing, right? It was pretty funny. So that's our little joke. Flip off the radio. Bing. And it changes the channel. So anyway, last night, every year for Halloween, I have the same group of people that come over because a lot of our friends don't live in this quadrant of our neighborhood where there's mega trick-or-treating action. So like 6 years now I've hosted the same group of kids. They were all friends in first grade or second.
We did the same thing last night. There's like 8 of them, 9 of them.
Yeah, it's the same ones every year. Well, they were all here last night. I told them you guys were coming today to talk about menopause, and they were like, Can I email you some questions? I said, yes. I had 3 people go, oh, I have some questions. Can you just ask some questions? But you're really good at asking questions, so you'll probably cover my questions. But I have a lot of questions. So I have a lot of questions.
I don't know how many answers I'm going to have, but I'm in.
Certain issues, I'll have a lot. I don't know about the others.
So I'm 48. I was just talking to Abby outside while I was getting my Coca-Cola that every month, 24 to 48 hours before my period, I get a really bad headache. And that's today. And nothing touches that headache. I can take a leave. I can get a massage. I can take a cold shower, hot shower, drink a Coca-Cola. Drinking a Coca-Cola actually helps a little bit.
Yep.
But
it's the caffeine in it.
It's the caffeine.
A lot of migraine
but if I
drinkers.
load up on coffee, it doesn't do it. Like if I drink 4 cups of coffee, it doesn't do the same thing as a Coke. So I wonder if it's the carbonation sugar
probably.
and all of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't eat a lot of sugar, but on this day, I'll drink a Coke and I go, it just relaxes just a little bit. So I know that's part of perimenopause. I'm not in menopause because I still get my period. But I sweat like a mother at
Isn't
night.
it fun?
It's not fun.
Drenched. I used to go to sleep with a towel on my pillow because I knew at some point in the evening I would be waking
brutal.
up going, blah.
It's awful, right?
Yeah.
The blanket's on, the blanket's off.
Yeah.
The leg out,
The leg
in.
I'll hear you.
I know I bought a fan. I bought a really nice Dyson fan. Like I treated myself because those are not cheap. And put it in the room. And I was like, babe, I think we're going to have to start sleeping with this fan. And he said, I'm going to be freezing. And I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
I
don't
started to
care.
refer to them as my own personal summers.
I'd say so.
I probably heard it someplace. Whoever gave that to me, it was hilarious. But in the middle of Trader Joe's, be like, what the hell?
And it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
And there's no stopping
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Because the more you think about it or
And the
try
more-
to cover your tracks,
Or relax or like
the more it comes.
fan. And it's just
Where do you
like,
get it? Where does it happen?
physically?
Yeah.
Okay. Like
Yeah,
Trader
on your
Joe's,
body.
I said,
Yeah,
Trader
not
Joe's.
like the
In
not,
the subway every time.
Because it doesn't care where you are.
No, it
my face would flush and my hands actually would get a little sweaty and the pits would go wild. So it was
Interesting.
kind of all upper
But
body.
that's pretty specific.
That's
Like-
why I asked
Yeah.
her, because
I hadn't even thought about
seems
it.
to be very specific for people.
Forehead,
I get
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I get it on the hairline. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, you're like, "What the hell is
Ripping
going
down
on?"
into your ear.
And then I also get it under the boobs
You know,
immediately, and it's like, "What is happening?"
See, I just thought that was because it was heavy.
But if you talk to other people about it, they feel
Yeah.
you know, everybody's got a specific place, and that's one of the places. And
Yeah.
it seems like the forehead.
But the forehead,
you know,
it's like
it's like
flush
comes
with
out of your hairline.
Yeah.
It's very
It's really
uncomfortable.
annoying.
You know, I think that they're learning more about perimenopause now. I think it's a new kind of theory or just not discovery. That sounds silly, but I think it's a new theory that women can be in perimenopause for like 10 years before they actually hit menopause. But I noticed about 3 years ago, I was never a sweater in general. Like I could run.
Although you're wearing a nice one.
Oh, thank you. I could run like top
did that.
speed.
That
I
was
know, right?
really
That was
good.
really slick.
She's wearing a sweater. Just
I know.
anybody who's not watching and
It's a
listening.
good looking sweater.
She's got a very pretty
It's
sweater.
very
Target. But I could run, I could work out, and I would barely break a sweat, maybe my upper lip. But all of a sudden, when I was probably about 45, I would sweat profusely from minimal activity. And I know I'm a little heavier than I was, but like 5 pounds heavier. And I don't think it's my weight gain. I think it's my hormones. And now, like, I just went to Vietnam with Sandy.
I wondered how much you were
Amazing
sweating there,
photos.
by the way. I was like,
I
wonder what that humidity's doing.
We changed underwear 3 times a day. We sweat so much.
Why
we had
bother
to
wearing it?
I mean, right? We kept on day 3. We were like, we're gonna run out of panties.
They needed something to soak it up.
We got to
You should be
send these
wearing,
down
like,
and have
the
them laundered.
liners.
I mean,
Imagine
like,
a puddle underneath.
Dripping down your leg.
whoops, there goes my panties.
Which, by the way, is another symptom.
Oh,
Your panties falling down your legs?
No, but dripping down the leg, like you can't hold your pee-pee in anymore.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah.
is that from? I just thought
I
that
don't
was like
know.
a
I just
child-
assume everything is.
Had C-sections. I just know all
Me
my
too.
girlfriends who had the vaginal births like just pee when they cough.
Yeah,
And
I
was
say
like,
I have 2 vaginal births, and I definitely pee when I
Yeah.
cough or sneeze, and sometimes I don't even think I have to pee,
And you do.
and I do.
Yeah.
It's awful. I hate that.
I got sick a couple months ago, and that happened to me when I was coughing so hard I peed myself, and I was like, "Oh no, not this too!"
But wait,
When does it end?
Are you telling me menopause causes you not to be able to hold your pee also?
I think
didn't
it's
know that.
part of it. I don't know.
I know you have to pee a lot.
Just Kegel
Yeah.
a lot. Do your Kegels. Keep that
Yeah.
muscle going.
I
Kegel,
can't
Kegel,
do
Kegel.
Kegels. I think everything down there is so shot. I think the Kegel muscle was removed in childbirth.
Came
They just
out-
took it out.
came out with Isla.
Came out with the
It
kid.
came out. Isla came out holding it in her
Isla
hand.
got it.
Isla had it in her hand like a trophy. I got her Kegel. She's never gonna hold her pee
That
again.
little
my
brass
gosh.
ring off the merry-go-round. Look what I got, Mom.
But when I started noticing like 3 years ago that I'd sweat spontaneously in situations I never did before, and I started sweating at night. And when I sweat at night,
Oh, yeah.
my chest is soaking wet.
Like in the hollow of your neck?
Yes, I
It's
have
like pools.
a puddle.
Yes.
Right here.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know how you produce that much sweat. Physically, how your body does that. Where is it getting all this liquid?
Right.
You know, it's got to be right sucking
Right.
you dry.
Out
That's
of
why
your
my
organs.
skin's so dry because I'm sweating.
Sweating everything out.
I drink 120 ounces of water a day now.
Well, you are a rock star.
I pee a
So
lot.
there.
I bet you pee a lot.
But I had to, like my skin and the wrinkles. I mean, okay, so I'm 56.
Yeah.
I'm 56 and a half.
And I can't believe that. I can't believe that. I mean,
Good genes,
you
good
don't
attack.
look 56 or act
you.
56. You act
I definitely don't have 56.
26 maybe.
18.
No. But I can't believe I'm 48. I feel like I'm maybe 28.
Does it freak you out
Yeah.
like going into 50?
No.
Is that a number to you? It's like,
No.
okay, yeah. Because age is such a state of mind. And I think all of us are super active, positive women. And I don't think that I know you just from all that you do in the community and all the help that I see. You're always involved in stuff. I think having a purpose has a big thing to do with how you
huge.
view yourself in your world.
I think
and
you are
age.
absolutely right. I would imagine it would make menopause easier and that period of life easier.
Having a purpose. Yeah.
Having a purpose because all our kids are getting older.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Abby and I have our youngest are the same age, seventh grade.
7th grade.
And then you have a ninth
William's in
grader,
10th.
a 10th grader. I have a ninth grader. You have a ninth grader and a senior.
Yeah, isn't that
Sandra turns 18 on Friday. This
Wow.
tomorrow. Oh my God,
Wow.
he turns 18
It's tomorrow. That's right. That's awesome. I can't believe he's 18.
Yeah, me either.
And I can't believe our kids are in.
crazy? Yep.
Yeah.
So
It goes fast.
one of the reasons I started this was because I started looking down the barrel of it won't be long and they'll be gone.
Right.
And I help
Then what do
Bert-
I do?
And then what I do for me, because
Yeah.
I feel like the section of time that's for me, that will be for me is now taken by children, right? Which I'm happy to give. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. But when I get all that back, I have a husband who would take that time. He would just go, oh, perfect. Thank you. Now I can get 95% of your human self. And I wanted to have something that could just slide right into that time.
Yeah, carve something out for yourself.
Yes.
And that it's established by the time that the girls are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Bert literally most of the time would unzip my chest and get inside my body and just have me walk around with him all day like a baby. Like a baby Bjorn.
That's quite a visual.
Yeah, he would, I think, actually. And if I don't set a boundary like that, that's what would happen is I just go, oh, okay, well, what else am I doing?
Right.
You know,
but it's great that you did that and you thought about that in advance.
Yeah, I did.
Seems like a survival tactic.
Right? Right?
It's from my childhood. Totally survival tactic. But yeah, that's why I started this podcast is I was like, I've got to have something. And then hopefully by that time, 6 years from now, who knows what
You're
this
going to
will
build
be.
your empire, lady. It's going
My
to be
empire?
awesome.
Empire of powerful women.
Yeah.
Because there's so many great women in this neighborhood. I just think I remember being in the South and not finding women like this. And being from the South and being with the people you grew up with and still feeling very alone and lost was really hard. And I imagine there are a lot of people in this country that feel that way, that are like, you know, I'm here, but I'm not finding my tribe.
Right.
And I feel like I really felt my tribe here in this community.
My mom used to say that the LA was the way it was is because the people from the other parts of the country of similar mindsets and intensity and desires and vision and philosophy moved here.
Right.
So like it's like the migration of the thought, you know, that thoughtness, whatever in your head and who you are. So I kind of cut you off, but it's like I think that's why we find so many kindred soul. I was fortunate enough to grow up here between here and Tucson. So it was a really weird, bizarre kind of dichotomy of a childhood. But yeah, I didn't see other people exactly kind of like this of similar mindsets in other parts. I mean, there's like here and there, but as a whole, not like this.
Yeah, as a whole. It's different. It's a different place out here. I think
energy, vibration is different.
Something's different for sure. Especially here. Not so much in Hollywood.
Vibration's different there.
Totally different there. I lived in Hollywood a long time before I moved here, and I had friends in Hollywood, and I was fine there. But I didn't understand what I was missing until I got here. It was better than being in the South, but it was not the same as being here.
Did you move here after the girls?
Yes.
Okay.
When Isla was 4.
So your life changes also because you have children.
Right.
Your priorities, what you want. I think one of the best things that happened in this neighborhood, and I'll reflect back to the school, is that in the kindergarten classes, the first 20 minutes to half an hour was parents and children together reading. And so not only were the kids able to form bonds, but we were able to form bonds. I mean, who remembers at the end of the first kindergarten year where in April they told the parents, hey, May is coming, we're going to stop. And who was upset? Not the kids, because they were going to stop the reading time.
Right.
All of us were upset because we were like, no, we're hanging out with our friends for the first half hour. This is great.
Yeah,
it really helps to build community.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. The reading.
Yeah.
I thought about the volunteerism that, we were all hardcore volunteers at the school. But I'd never put it to, that is where it started, because in in Mr. V's class, I looked around and I went, hey, Kathy Fromkin looks like an interesting person. She looks like somebody that I could
And
get
lo and
along
behold,
with. And look at
you're
here.
still good friends.
Really
The kids
good
are like
friends.
cousins.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, kids are like cousins. I know Isla was like, can I just go to high school with Lily, which is Kathy's daughter? And I was like, well, we can go look at her school. Sure. She was like, I just want to be in school with Lily. And they started in kinder together. And Kathy and I are still, Kathy's on this podcast all the time. So you're right. I hadn't thought about that. It really was from the reading. And she and I didn't hang out during the reading. I just watched her. I watched all the parents. And then I went, who in this room is crazy?
Right.
I'm staying away from you and you. And you who's doing yoga stretches on the mat, I'm staying away from you.
For sure.
I know who that was.
You do?
I do.
No way.
Totally.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he every morning, like full legs out, like
anywhere
spread
he
eagle.
could do it.
Anywhere he could do it in the middle of, and I'm like, dude, this is not about you. We're supposed to be
everything's
right?
about him. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He's hilarious, nice guy, but completely different mindset.
Odd fella.
Yeah,
he's an odd fella. Okay, so sweats. Menopause.
Yes.
Sweats. I wonder, did either of you have headaches?
I didn't really.
No.
I didn't either.
I'm hoping this stops when menopause starts.
My biggest and I started, my mother, I asked my mother about it because, doctors always say, ask your parents, is there a history, blah, blah, blah. So I asked my mother, and her standard response is always like, oh no, I had nothing. It was fine. Didn't even know. I'm like, lady, you like slid through life. She had no symptoms, no this, no that. This is a woman who like doesn't even shave her legs because she's so fair. She never had any hair on her legs. So I'm like, what am I getting? She's got straight blonde hair. I came, we I'm one of four, all had like this curly hair that she didn't even know what to do with us, So I got no help there with the symptoms. But I've been experiencing these hot flashes. It feels like it's over 10 years. And I just, like my husband said, when do you think this is going to end? And I was like, dude, F you.
Right.
I know it's a hassle for you, but it's in my body and I can't get rid of it. But this is the worst symptoms. The sweating is the worst symptom. The hot flashes, night sweats. I've tried everything homeopathic, everything at Trader Joe's could throw at you, everything Whole Foods could throw at you. Nothing worked. I finally went on some hormones and it actually did help, but I just didn't like taking them. I don't like the feeling of it. I don't even know what it made me feel. I just didn't like it. But I kept on it because the alternative to that was I was having like 15 hot flashes a day.
Oh my
15.
gosh.
I mean, I was more wet than I was dry.
Oh my gosh.
And everywhere I went, the big joke, and I'm sure when you said, "Oh, Abby's having it," a friend of ours, Jeannie, probably said, "Yeah, you should see her fan." Like, I don't leave the house without a fan. I have one that plugs into my phone. I've moved from stages and I keep them everywhere. Like, you keep your glasses and the lip balm.
One that plugs into your phone?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Because what's the one thing you always have with you is your phone.
Is your
it's
phone.
just a
That's
tiny
very
little fan,
smart.
but boy, is it a lifesaver. But so I have them stashed everywhere and I bought a bunch for my friends that are starting to go through it. But the sweating is the worst part. But I always, when you're still working and you're giving a presentation or you have clients there and all of a sudden you start pouring sweat. It's your whole body kind of clenches and wants to be like, stop, stop, stop. But which makes it worse.
Right.
So if I am ever at a meeting or in the past when it was really bad, I would just announce it. And I would just say right out, I want you to know I'm having a hot flash. I know it may make you uncomfortable, but I'd rather you be uncomfortable than me be uncomfortable.
Right.
Because if I'm uncomfortable, it's going to get worse. And then you guys are all going to look at me like, and it's going to get worse. So we're just taking it off the table.
Right.
I'm going to sweat. I may not have my words together. I'm having a hot flash and it'll go away. Just give it time. Let's do whatever we need to do.
Well, everybody's going to have somebody in their life that goes through this. So hopefully they'll be empathetic.
Right.
Well, that's part of the point too, because,
it's kind of like me warning people Xander has Asperger's. Okay, he's on the playground. He's got Asperger's. He's not an asshole.
Right. Everybody watch out.
Spectrum.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Call it out, right? Speak
Nothing
our
we
truth.
can do about it. Just want everybody to know. Yes.
Yep.
I think that's a great way to function in general. Is to
Yeah.
go, hey,
Yes.
here's what's going on.
Yeah.
Put your cards on the table.
Yeah, so that
Because we're all human anyway.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And if someone has a problem with that, they got big problems. I was reading up on menopause before this, and I guess one of the symptoms is like clouded, muddled thinking, and
that's what that is.
Difficulty.
I just thought it was mommy brain.
A difficulty learning. So I thought I want to know if you guys experience any of that. I feel like my brain doesn't function the way it used to already, and I'm not even in where I'll be in the middle of a sentence and I can't find a word.
Yeah.
And it's a simple word like can.
Yes.
And I go,
I look at it and see if maybe it's written somewhere on it.
yeah,
'Cause it's
or
like,
anything. You search
come
for it,
on.
but I know it's there. And I do this thing that my mother used to do where I start like screwing up music lyrics of like Journey songs that you've
Something
known
that you
since
should know
birth.
backward and forward.
And then I start like screwing them up, and then my brain's going, hey, that's not right. And then my kids are like, oh you just totally said that wrong, which is what I did to my mother. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm turning into my mom. I'm starting to say not just that, but I'll say the wrong word for something, you know, where I'll go, if I'm going to say can, I'll say, can you just hand me that shoe on the table? And they'll go, shoe? And I'm like, yeah, the shoe right there, this shoe. You know, the shoe that you drink out of? And they're like,
dude, you may want to get checked for that, because that's actually concerning.
Everything in my world is the thingy.
Quite a bit. And then I'll go, I just said shoe, right? No, I meant can. It's can. I mean, clearly it's a can on here.
Have you put the phone in the refrigerator yet and then not been able to find it? Or said, I can't find my phone. I've been on the phone screaming, I can't find my phone. It's in my hand. Because I'm on the phone. Thank you.
No, that's really funny.
In there. I've been laughed at for that as well. Yeah.
Wait, you've been on the phone going,
fuck you. Yeah, I have.
I remember
it's like in my hand because I have this loopy thing.
Oh,
like,
right.
Where the hell is my phone?
Right.
It's like, Mom.
I don't think I've ever done that. I haven't done that yet. But I do call a can a shoe, apparently.
Yeah, that's a little, I don't know.
I mean, not even in the same category of item. That's what bothers me, is like, no alliteration. It's not like
nothing to do with
car
class.
Instead of can. There's no rhyme or reason to my
and apparently the holiday cans have come out already.
You know, Target yesterday had one sleeve of Coca-Cola in the whole joint. I was like, I'm not the only person having some people over for Halloween. One sleeve.
I don't drink soda anymore, but damn, I love Coke.
Oh, it's the best.
I'm not a Pepsi person. I'm a Coke person.
Yeah, me too.
That looks so good, and I don't drink it anymore.
I love it too, but I only drink it on the day that I have this headache.
Well, you deserve it.
Exactly. I'm like, if I'm suffering from this headache, I'm gonna have a Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
it's one day a month.
It's medicinal.
So here's another reason. Okay, wait. Hot flashes, weight gain. You experience that?
Absolutely.
Shut up.
And I'm experiencing a real, like, I would have to eat 1,000 calories a day to be skinny, like legitimately.
I would just have to stop eating.
And
exercise.
I mean, that's not sustainable.
Like,
you can't eat 1,000 calories a day and live.
This stomach thing. This is like.
What stomach thing?
This stomach thing for me, this poochie thing.
Oh, I got it too. Right here,
I mean, I danced and I was an aerobics instructor, and then I'm not. It's like, I don't know even what to do with this. I'm like, I thought about, like, should I do lipo? Oh God, it'd be so nice to not have this. I'm like, I just need to like suck it up and do it. But I gotta be honest with you, I get these cravings. Like the carbs, it's not so much the sugar, it's the carbs. And I've heard that the hormones can like throw that off too, where you crave the carbs. I used to be able to like not do carbs, and I can't anymore. I just crave them so bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. My I don't know if self-control is the right word, but my ability to regulate what I eat is harder. Like, I can do it. I did the 21-day fix workout program at the beginning of the year. I lost like 12 pounds. I've gained like 7 of it back. But I was also eating 1,200 calories a day and working out 7 days a week.
How do you
And that's not sustainable
that's
either.
one of those things that with, weight loss programs, or even if they're healthy, right? It's a change in lifestyle. They say. Most people's lifestyle does not allow for working out an hour every day for 7 days or even 5 days. No. You can go through like a cycle of when it's great like that. Like I remember I was working at a co-working space, and I'd drop the kids off in the morning at school here. They were still at the local school. Then I'd go and I'd do my work, and I'd leave at 3:30, come to yoga, and I had a 4 o'clock class till 5:30. So I could do it every day on my way back, and then I would pick the kids up at school at aftercare.
And then who makes dinner?
And the
groceries and the laundry,
once you're in a groove like that,
the bills.
You're in a groove like that, but it doesn't last because something changes invariably, and then it throws you right off.
Somebody gets sick, and you can't do that anymore.
Or you get a new job, and you're no longer, your kid graduates school and moves to a different school that's in Chatsworth. You know what I mean? So it's not sustainable. I don't think any of them are, unless you literally do nothing else. And it's a job in itself to be on a program like that.
It is a job in itself.
Unless that's all you're going to do.
And that was when I was in great shape, being in shape was my job.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
Well, what I've decided to do to try and keep myself maintained is to eat my carb in the morning, and then no complex carb after the morning, Monday through Friday. And then the weekend, I'm just not going to worry about it.
Right.
I'm not a junk food. That's a problem too, is like Sandy and I eat together all the time. You know, she's as big as a drip and I am bigger, definitely. I had to borrow one of her bathing suits one time. Laughable. She's like a negative A cup. I'm a C plus. It was laughable. But I was like, wow, I didn't realize we were that different. I mean, I'm like a hoss compared. But she eats probably twice the food I eat.
Right. How annoying is that?
It's really annoying.
You need to not have friends like that.
I know,
That's
right?
just
It's really
fun.
annoying. But she's like, I don't understand why she says why I can eat this much and stay this thin when you're eating less than me and you're having a hard time with that 5 or 10 pounds that you just can't get rid of. And I was like, you know what? I guess at a certain point you just have to say, this is what it is.
Right.
This is it. I'm going to have these little rolls around my belly, and I'm going to have the back fat that's from my grandma that she had her whole life, and I'm going to eat a reasonable diet, and that's just, and I work out. I work out like 3 days a week. So because I can do that. But
I think that's part of what comes with age also is the acceptance of it. And it's not that you're not going to keep trying, but you don't have to berate yourself all the time.
Right.
For not attaining where you think you should be.
Right.
And maybe it's not where we should be. Clearly it's not where we should be because our bodies aren't letting us get there.
Right.
No matter what you try to do.
Right.
But in relation to you know, what you're saying about you've been in better shape, you've been in worse shape, and you feel like this is adding on and stuff, and how Sandy can eat whatever she wants, but you can't even eat, you know, get away with a bagel without putting weight on. Right. And I remember Janet Jackson. Bagels. I know this sounds crazy, but pulling it out of nowhere. But Janet Jackson, how different she looks every time you see, you know, she could be extremely overweight, or she is, first, I'm sure it's terrible for your body, but I remember a comment that she had made. I think it was on the radio or something. And she made the comment that unless she is dancing 10 hours a day because she's getting ready for a concert or whatever it is, and this is a long time ago I heard this, but unless her 100% focus is on dancing for 10 hours a day, being on a really strict diet and having somebody watch over her at all times, there's no way she can keep in that shape. There's no way she can keep that form. Right. And it struck me as being really like torturous and horrible that is what people loved, and this was not her. This was not who this woman was, and how horrible it must feel to her. Right. When, you know, 2 weeks after the concert, she's now heavier and people are taking pictures and posting them, and, you know, they're in the news saying she's a slob, she's gained all this weight back, you know. And that was before like public shaming was popular stuff. But how much work that poor woman had to do, and she was a girl at the time, to just be in that shape and look in that shape. And it's just not really attainable. Because who has 10 hours to be? I mean, that's her business. She did it.
Yeah, and that makes sense why she would be in that good shape if she's dancing that many hours a day. And
but she said even so, it took her that much. If she did 9 or 8 hours a day, she wouldn't look like that. Right. She had to go to those lengths, 10 hours a day to look like that.
Yeah, I think a friend of ours is a movie producer, and he produced a really big movie with a really big female star who had a baby, and it was a sequel movie, and they had to get her back in shape. And he said it was a very large line item on the budget for her nutrition and her trainer. And she said a person was on set, was at her disposal 24 hours a day, handing her what to eat at the precise time of day she had to eat it in the precise portion. And it was like, he was like, it was such a science experiment because she'd be eating like almond butter and yogurt. And you're like, whoever eats almond butter and yogurt, but the combination of those two things, or whatever they were, that maybe it wasn't almond butter or yogurt, but whatever the combination of foods and the portions was so precise. and the timing of when she ate it and when she worked out. And I'm like, who the hell has time to do that? You know, nobody.
Yep. Nobody in the outside world.
Nobody in the outside world. And, you know, he was like, as soon as the movie's over, I'm curious to see what happens to her body, to her health and her body, because that's not happening on our dime.
Right.
Is she going to continue paying somebody 24 hours a day? It was thousands and thousands of dollars a week. Like, not something.
Good gig for whoever got it.
Yeah, right? It was. I'll tell you later. But,
Okay.
Yeah, I was really amazed at that.
In my husband's world, they digitally alter them. I can't speak.
Well, what does he do?
He's visual effects. He does visual effects
I didn't know
supervising
that.
and stuff. Yeah. So in one movie, the woman had gotten pregnant while they were filming and stuff. So she was starting to gain weight, and they literally were shaving like skin off of her, the width of her face and stuff. No, it's amazing what they can do. It's so precise, like you were saying, precise with the food. But I also wonder what it does to her body.
Yeah, I do
to
too.
have to change it that quickly and alter.
I do too. And then what's the effect of that?
Yeah.
You know, there's a yin and a yang to everything.
Right.
What happens when you rubber band back to normal and you're just eating like healthy food, regular food, 3 meals a day, then do you balloon up again? And she's not even someone you would go, wow, she's got a rocking body. She's like someone you think, oh, she looks like a normal person. You know, she just looks like what I think I look like. She looks like a normal person.
Isn't it so funny how we really have no idea what we look like?
I know. You know,
You can look in the mirror and you have no idea. You really don't know.
But you know, I've spent a long time, like a year or so ago, I just stopped looking in the mirror. Because I would go, that's not what I see inside. And I like what I see inside better. So I'm going to stop looking at you.
I never see myself as being short. Mind you, I'm 5 feet tall and I'm a big one in my family. I never see myself. And if I
don't think of you as
that
short.
I never meet or start a relationship on the phone, they always think I'm like 5'8", have straight, long blonde hair. And I'm like, really? Because I'm exact opposite of that. So I have a tall, loud, blonde voice, I guess.
Well, let's talk about your hair. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So Abby went gray.
Yeah.
I am so impressed. It looks
I like
really
it.
good.
I like it. I'm really happy with it.
So tell me again what your hairstylist did.
Oh, so my hair is curly. We all know this. I mean, I haven't worn it curly in a while because I thought gray and curly, I don't know if I can do it. So I did keratin treatment, which I've always loved.
And that's what made your hair straight?
Yes, the keratin treatment.
Because I blow my hair out.
Yeah.
And within like 20 minutes, I've done some kind of sweating.
Yes.
And it goes to this.
By the time you finish doing your hair or while you're doing your hair.
Did your hair change after you had kids? Because my hair used to be wavy. This is not wavy. This is just flipping curly after Elizabeth. I hate it.
Mine's a lot thinner.
interesting.
I have less hair than I had because I always had a big, I had a Jufro. I had a big head of hair. I mean, I had a pick and everything in the 70s. That's why I wore in my back pocket. Black Pride.
God.
That was the only kind of picks they had. But yeah, my friend Cynthia, I have 2 girlfriends who had kinky, like crazy kinky hair. And one of them wears it now in a gigantic fro, and she wears it proudly, and she's gorgeous.
That's amazing.
And, oh my God, it is amazing. It's this big halo over her head. And the other one used to buzz it. And she let hers go gray also. But so letting go gray, I had always played around with my hair color. Like I couldn't have even told you what my hair color was anymore. I was blonde, I was red, auburn, all the kind of fun stuff. The only thing I never did was I never did platinum, and I never did really deep, dark black. I don't think that my complexion lends to it. But when I wanted to let it grow out, I was blonde and curly. So I just let it grow. You can hide it a lot more when it's curly. So I just let it start to grow and let it start to grow. And then I just started wearing it slicked back. So the ponytail might have been blonde, or I twisted it in a knot, whatever. And then when it got about maybe, 3 inches, 2-3 inches, I went to a stylist and I had her strip my hair, dye it darker, try to kind of match the roots. And then pull silver through the whole thing. So all of a sudden now I didn't have to go through the entire
grow out process.
Like the transition.
The transition, right. So
that was really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really smart.
Yeah, I was proud of myself for thinking about that.
Yeah, that was
Also have a
really
pretty
smart.
silver, because there's varying colors of gray, and some are dull and not great.
Mine's not great. I am.
But you
really
never
gray.
know. You don't know until you let it grow in.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't know until your whole head is that way, because it took me a while to grow out what she had done to it too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I mean, I did it, I want to say it was 3-4 years ago. I don't even remember. But it took a while for it all to grow out.
Right.
And so this is 100% me. And this was not the silver that she had put in. This is also not the silver nor the color of when my hair was growing out and I had roots. Because your roots are always a lot darker than what your hair color is.
Right.
So it wasn't, it's not the same. So I
other
don't think
than-
you know until it grows out.
Other than the keratin treatment,
Yeah.
is there anything else in your hair?
No.
No dye. It's so pretty.
No, thank you.
Well, my hairdresser scared me from gray because I have a lot of gray. I have a lot of gray right on the top of my head. Like I'm silver. When my roots grow in, it's silver. There's no dark. And
That's what I thought too. And I have much less gray in my hair
Than
than
you
I thought I
thought.
did. I was actually a little bummed because I thought I was going to have this great salt and
Silver,
pepper,
right.
more salt than pepper.
Right.
And I don't have nearly as much as I thought I did. I have a lot here.
Right.
And I have a patch that comes out on the side of my head. And there's more coming in all the time. But I thought I was much more, because it looks like it's much more when it's
Growing
only
in.
your root line
Right.
that you're seeing.
Well, I don't have any, it seems right around my face, which is weird. I don't have any gray hair around my face at all. It's just like a yarmulke. It's right on top of my head.
It's going to grow out that way.
Right? Big.
It's getting bigger. Yeah.
But he was like, how do you look in an athletic gray shirt? And I went, like a zombie.
You told me this. Well, I think we talked about this
Maybe.
because I was going to say, were
Maybe.
you the one who the stylist said, how do you look when you wear gray?
Yes. I
And
am
then-
the one.
Okay.
Yes. He said, how do you look in an
I don't
athletic
buy
gray
it.
shirt? And I went, I look like shit. I look like a zombie. And he went, then you're going to have a hard time with gray hair. So, and I do. I put on an
Yeah.
athletic gray shirt and I look like I have no color in my body at all. It's like someone drained all the blood out of my face.
What color is your shirt right
It's
now?
cream.
Okay.
So that's what makes me nervous. But I guess you can dye your gray hair, but why would you want to go gray and then continue to dye your hair? I would just
No, just
keep
to let it
dyeing
grow
my
in.
hair. Yeah. No, not for that. I mean, for me, like if I did my
Yeah.
natural gray made me look like a zombie, then I would want to color that gray a different color gray. Like I
Right.
can wear some grays.
Right.
I can wear like a brown warm gray, but like the cooler, steelier gray or the athletic
Yeah.
gray, it
Yeah.
just doesn't work for my skin.
But so then you go back to coloring your hair.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's a choice, right?
I've just been kind of seeing what goes on. 'Cause
but
I
you
just-
don't have any gray.
I will.
No,
I
you
know-
don't.
When I blow it out, I actually kind of look at, like, you have like the strands.
Yeah.
And it's this really,
Oh,
it's,
'cause
it's
it's
my grandma's
curly.
gray. It's really pretty. But yeah, you can't really see it with the, but when I like show you, Elizabeth's like, Mom, do you want me to pull the grays? Because for a while I'd sit on the bathroom
Yeah.
floor and she'd pluck them out for me. And I'm like, okay, I give, because I had a couple come out at the crown. I'm like, oh,
That
here
hurts.
we go. Here we go. It's real now. But
So-
you know, I can't complain. I'm flipping 56
Right.
and now I'm going gray.
That's
So-
pretty great.
No, okay. Don't you think it's weird that everybody's starting to let themselves go gray? And what, the last year, that whole grandma gray dye craze has been going on with,
I
Oh,
know,
with the
right?
kids.
Yeah.
kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has
it's
that allowed
crazy.
us to accept our gray more, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe. That is a good point. So let me ask you about mood swings. I know that is a symptom. Do you guys feel like you had mood swings or any kind of mood altered states of consciousness, anything like that?
What are you implying?
Stop hitting me.
Don't yell at me. Yeah, probably. There are some times where I try to think back, like, were there days when I thought, why am I so angry? I
Yeah.
don't think I had that, but there are days like, cause is awesome. He'll look at me like, crabby. I'm like, yeah. It's like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. But he like recognizes it. But there's some days where like, I have no reason to like be in a bad mood. I just am.
Right.
And I can't give you any rhyme or reason why. Nothing set me off.
Right.
I just grumpy.
Yeah. Woke up on the wrong side of the bed kind of thing.
It usually isn't in the morning. I'm a super happy morning person. It usually happens in the afternoon, like around 3 or 4, and I'm just like, I don't know. Is that a mood swing?
I don't know. Is
I
it?
don't know. Is that hangry? Did you need food?
Are you tired? Are you
Well, I'm
stressed from
always
the day?
tired, dude.
Yeah, I'm always
That's a
tired.
Yeah.
thyroid
What's
thing.
that about?
Right?
Oh,
Sometimes I wish that they would diagnose me with something, that a disease,
my thyroid's acting up. So
It is?
yeah, I've had it. Okay, so I have had this plethora, this procession of issues that have just contributed to the weight gain, between falling down the stairs and making my pelvis unstable, so I couldn't exercise or walk, and tearing my rotor cuff. That was fun. And then they found my thyroid was like, you got a bump here, you got a little lump here. Let me go check that out. Did the ultrasound. Ladies and men, I'm sure we all have thyroids, right? Mm-hmm. Go for your annuals. Have them check your thyroid.
Right.
Get ahead of it. It's important to not avoid this stuff.
Super easy blood test too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did all the tests.
It's in the panel.
And my numbers were off. They wanted to give me meds right away. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a throw a pill at it kind of girl. Why is my thyroid acting like this? Let's find systemically, like from the base of what's going on. So I found an MD who's also a holistic doctor. Mm-hmm. If she can treat it holistically, she will. If it needs meds, you get meds. So she did this thing, and I actually want people to know about this because it's flippin' fascinating, and there's only one lab in the entire United States to test for it, and it's in Massachusetts. It's something called Marcone's. And it is a strep or staph infection in the recesses of your sinuses that can cause a low-grade inflammation in your body that your thyroid and or probably other organs react to. Everybody's talking about how cancer is caused by inflammation, right? This thing is rampant in people. Dogs carry it on their nose. If your dogs kiss you on your nose, it is possible to get it. I'm not like red
I totally got
this,
that.
but I know, like you French kiss your dogs.
right, I know.
Who does it with Miss B?
I
She's
know.
so yummy.
She's like dust.
But so I had this spray, and I took it. It was an antibiotic spray, and I took probiotics with it when I took my antibiotics. And I went and got my other ultrasound 6 months later, and the tech said, so how long have you been on meds? Like, I didn't take meds. My thyroid was almost back to normal.
Wow.
3 of the nurses in the doctor's office, my endocrinologist's office, because I did both Western and Eastern medicine, got the number of this doctor.
Wow.
So it's called Marcone's. It's a recessive, and you can even look it up. Marcons. Google it on Google it on Google.
Yeah.
And
we had a little device that could do that for us right now.
That tell you what it is.
Hey,
it
Siri.
was so fascinating.
Exactly.
And
She's
I think
gonna
it's
answer you
coming
in a minute.
back because I'm getting tired again. Like I can feel it.
And were you tired before?
Yeah.
And
Is that what the
was
symptoms are?
Well, with thyroid, like if your thyroid's like if you get tired, fatigue, lethargy, that's one of the symptoms of
a thyroid issue.
Yeah.
Is it a symptom of the Marcone's?
Well, no. The Marcone's, like if you have, I notice when I when it starts coming back, I have more phlegm, kind of like I can get this thick kind of slimy mucus coming out of the roof of my mouth. Isn't that attractive? Kiss me. But
I'm looking it up right now.
Look it up.
Good.
It was just, I was like, what? I've never heard of that. I went to my ENT. All the test requires is they put a very long Q-tip up your nose into the back of your sinuses, which makes you go for like a second. It's not bad though. And then it's over. But my ENT couldn't even test for it because he didn't have a lab out here to send it to.
That's so strange that there would only be one lab.
But
I want to test for it.
I do too.
I'll give you the name of my...
What is Marcone's? It's spelled weird.
Marcons.
Yeah, but it's multiple antibiotic resistant coagulase negative staph.
So let me share with you what it is.
It is a staph infection.
It's a staph infection.
Oh, I'll read it.
Or it can be... Okay, because it creates a biofilm.
It says it is an antibiotic resistant staph that resides deep in the nasal passage of 80% of people with low MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. Those suffering from bitoxin illness and other chronic inflammatory illnesses. Rats. I picked the wrong day not to wear my glasses.
I have a pair on me if you want them.
Are these yours?
No, those are Bert's. Let's see. Rats.
Look it up. So this tell me when you got it.
I got it.
Okay.
Suffering from bitoxin illness and other chronic inflammatory illnesses and chronic fatigue and immune dysfunction syndrome, inflammatory respiratory syndrome. The percentage increases when the person has also been treated with antibiotics for a month or more. Once they've taken up residence, Marcone's will further lower.
Taken up residence.
Right? further lower and increase cytokines and lower Treg cells, resulting in chronic fatigue symptoms of body aches and debilitating exhaustion. Marcone's is not an infection, but a commensal colonization that can become an infection.
Good times.
These bacteria send chemicals into the blood that increase inflammation, and by cleaving MSH causes a further decrease of MSH levels, which in turn creates more inflammation. Marcones live in the deep nasal passages and is common in all biotoxin illnesses.
So these little buggers are antibiotic resistant. They create this biofilm, this slime over them, so that if you take regular antibiotics, it doesn't get to them.
Ugh.
So the only thing that this doctor gave me, I'm not an expert, so I don't know if it's the only thing that'll fix it, but as I read up on it, I'm like, oh shit, is this nasal spray that has this thing. It's a compound, and not every pharmacy has it.
Right.
And it's like $99 for like months of it. It's a little spray. And they drill holes, whatever's in there drills holes in the biofilm so the antibiotics can get into it.
Crazy, right?
I don't know, but let's test for it.
I know inflammation is the root of all evil.
That's what we're hearing. So when she told me that, and people with fibromyalgia and all these other things, and they don't know where they come from, not that fibromyalgia isn't a real thing.
No, yeah.
But if the symptom of it can be caused by something that masks itself like that, and you can fix it.
Yeah.
I want people to know.
Yeah, totally. All right. So
anyway,
I wonder, can your regular MD, I mean, not everybody has access to an East-West doctor combo.
Right.
I wonder if a regular MD could test for that and how they would go about doing
what?
that.
Honestly, the more people that ask for it,
Yeah, I guess so.
the more the public is aware of it.
That's true.
That maybe they'll start addressing the systemic issues of disease.
Yeah, because that is the truth. Inflammation. You know, I heard this story on NPR about the treatment of cancer before chemo. I guess they had a patient who had cancer who contracted strep, and their cancer started shrinking because
it attacked it.
It started attacking it because strep is such an intense virus that it kicked all of their immune system into overdrive, and the strep forced everything to work harder, and the cancer started shrinking.
Holy
They
moly.
started doing all of this research. They started injecting cancer patients with the strep virus, and it was working. And then chemotherapy came along and kind of overshadowed that process and that research.
Chemo's so hard on the body. I mean, it's just...
It is. And it was a fast working, so to speak.
Yeah.
And whereas this immunotherapy was not a guarantee, but for some people, I guess what I'd heard, and I'm totally butchering this story. I heard it before my aunt passed away of ovarian cancer, so it had to have been more than 3 years ago. And I was trying to get her to look into immunotherapy treatments because of this news story, but it's quite old, so I'm probably messing it up. But I remember them saying that the cancer was gone in the patients, like totally gone in the patients that had the strep injected into them. And strep's a nasty virus, man. I'm sure there are other viruses or illnesses that will cause your immune system to kick into that kind of hyperdrive too. But it's a shame that they threw that out, basically.
Right, as a treatment.
They just went, nah, and just went
not
with
a lot of
chemo.
money in it.
Right.
Not a lot of money in it. And at the same time, it's lazy. It's the path of least resistance a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, this is working. It's proven.
Yeah.
So let's just do this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really work all the time for everybody.
Yeah, the other thing to think about, we're talking about like ovarian cancer with menopause. I know that there are the hormonal fluctuations can make women more prone, that you really have to keep an eye out for and be aware of when you stop having your period. Because you and I talked about this. I was very fortunate. I was on birth control when I went through menopause, and it was a shot that you had every 6 months. When I went off of it, I never got my period back. So apparently I had gone through menopause during this whole thing.
I didn't even know you had it.
I didn't even know I had it. I thought
sucker.
the night sweats were like anxiety attacks because I was raising 2 kids by myself, and I was like freaking out. But no, they were night sweats. I was actually better than I thought. But I spot it, and you and I talked about this, and I just want to bring it up. So if somebody spots after they have menopause, if you haven't had your period in 4 or 5 or 6 months and you start spotting again, don't freak out, but go to your doctor, because there are blood tests that they can take that'll determine where you are within the menopause cycle and legitimately like determine, okay, well, you still got some of this juice going on. So yeah, you're going to maybe menstruate off and on. But if you're done for 1 or 2 years and you start to spot or you have a period, you need to go to the doctor. They need to see if it potentially could be something.
Right.
And they have tests. Catch it early. Catch it early.
But it's something as in cancer?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. What kind of cancer? Ovarian, maybe?
Uterine.
Ovarian cancer, uterine.
Cervical.
Okay, yeah. Because ovarian has no symptoms.
And there's...
Right. And they say they never catch it until
Yeah.
you're in stage 4, they say.
That's correct with my aunt.
Right.
It was awful. It was everywhere. And she had no symptoms. She just was tired.
So don't freak out. Like, don't, lose it. But just go to a doctor and get tests. And, there's a progression of tests that they give you. They'll do a pap smear. If that comes back abnormal, don't freak out. I've had 2 abnormal pap smears. I'm still fine. I went to the dark place. I went to a movie and cried because who's going to take care of my kids? Like, I went there.
Oh, gosh.
And then I had something called a colposcopy, which is where they actually shaved some tissue off the cervix, which... It's uncomfortable, ladies. So, don't go in thinking you're going to be great, but you'll survive. You'll come back okay.
Yeah.
And that really gives you better information on what's going on with the cells on the cervix.
Right.
So I was very grateful that all turned out okay. But it is something to be aware of.
Yeah.
It is something to be aware of.
The weird thing for me, though, is like Elizabeth got her period. Sorry, honey, if you're hearing this. I happened to be in the bathroom that morning. It was like such a blessing for me because it's such a rite of passage for a mom and a mom and a daughter to share. She's like, Mom, what's this? I'm like, oh, you got it. She's like, oi.
Yeah, right?
No drama,
Right?
nothing. You guys, 3 days later, I got my period. My hormones, my body's super sensitive.
Right.
And I freaked out. I was like, I have cancer. I'm going to die. I got her the period. I'm going to die. But I was okay. But it was so cool that was like, not cool, but whatever hormones I had left in my body, it just sucked them out.
Right?
Yeah.
Surged.
Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to share that one piece. I thought was important.
It's very important. The thing about like with childbirth, there was I could make a list of probably 15 things that I experienced personally that no one told me about.
Absolutely.
And so I think I am looking down the barrel of...
That's why I said yes.
Menopause.
That's why I was like, it may not, I'm not great speaker.
You are great
and
at saying you're
everything,
not. That's not true.
No, you're great.
But that's exactly what I remembered is the stuff that I went through after having the first kid, saying, why didn't anybody tell me about this part of it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm freaking out.
The not so magical part of it.
There's like 15
and you feel so free and alone.
Not so magical part. I mean, not even that part. I had stuff going on in my body that nobody talked about.
Yeah.
Like terrible smells coming out of my vagina that I was like, did someone shove a raccoon in my vagina that is now rotting? What the hell? I know you can't touch me because if you smell this smell, you will smell this smell forever. And now we will never have sex again. And that is a no. And no one told me that. And my friend was having twins a year after I had Georgia. And I took her to lunch and went, I'm going to tell you some shit that nobody told me. And it happened to her too. And she was like, I am so glad that she's the only other person I know of that had this horrible rotting meat smell coming out of their vagina. And she was the only other person. And she said, I am so glad. Maybe.
You told me, right.
Because she said, when you explained it to me at lunch, I understood it in my brain. But when I smelled that, I was so upset. But I knew that this was normal. Mm-hmm. She was like, if I had smelled that and not known that this was normal, I would have gone like to the ER. I mean, I felt it smells like something is dead in your pants. Like I could smell myself just standing fully clothed in the kitchen.
Did it happen both times?
No,
only the first
it
one?
only happened the first time. And my doctor said it was just hormone. It was just a hormonal, something going on hormonally that caused this terrible, terrible odor. And that there was nothing wrong with me, that I couldn't do anything to rectify the odor. My hormones just had to balance themselves.
Just stay home.
Right?
Don't go
and
yourself
keep your legs crossed. Keep your legs crossed.
Yeah.
But Bert could never understand why I was so like sensitive about having sex. And when you smell like
Did
that.
you tell him that?
Yes.
Oh, you
I told him everything
Okay.
that was going on. I was
Yeah.
like, I smell like rotting meat.
Right.
Like, carry
That's
on.
one of those, I know you have to deal with it, but dude, this is what I was saying about when my
Yes.
husband said, how long do you think this is going to last with the menopause? I was like, it's happening inside my body.
Well, that's another thing I wanted to talk about too, because my husband is very sensitive to shifts in his wife's mood. So if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, he is now worse on the wrong side of the bed. I can never be the sickest in the house.
Oh, got it.
I can never be the emotionally distraught. I can never be the weak one. I can.
Right.
I cannot. It's not never. Never is a strong word. It's not never, but usually.
Everything you've witnessed so far.
Everything I've witnessed so far.
Yes.
Not everything. You know, there's some days where I have a bad day and he's cool. But if it's this like mood swing that has nothing to do with nothing.
Right.
You know, if I come in and I've had a car accident and I'm upset, he's compassionate. But if I just wake up and I'm like a bitch, he can't process that. So then he automatically goes, well, she's pissed at me. And then what did I do?
Right.
Well, I
always
didn't do
gotta be-
anything.
yeah.
And, you know, he gets really defensive. So I am worried. I was saying this to Kathy Fromkin when I was telling her I was talking to you. I said, one of my biggest concerns about me going through menopause specifically is not allowing myself to be emotionally where I am in order to protect the peace in my household.
Right.
Right? So I wanted to know if either of you experienced that feeling or experienced a time where you weren't able to protect the peace in your home because whatever feelings you were feeling, mood swings you were having were just too much to deal with. Does that make sense?
I'd love to be able to take myself out of the picture when that happens and just remove myself and give myself a timeout, you know,
Yeah.
and just, you guys deal, you guys do whatever. But it doesn't, if it's that kind of a thing, and I think I know what you're talking about with, it's like a competitive thing almost, like, oh, you think you have it that bad? Mine's worse.
Yeah, that happens, yes.
But it ends up in our household anyway. It will end up with the cycle kind of going through all of us. So we're four, right?
Yeah.
So it's the two boys and then the two parents. And so if I'm not in a great mood and then it either rubs off on Glenn or he gets defensive or something like that, then it also will extend onto the kids. So anything that the kids do, then it becomes annoying, right?
Yes.
So, and mostly that comes from him because like the kids are a lot like him, right? So my older one seems exactly opposite of him, but they come to blows. They, battle it. And it makes it so much worse. And I feel like I'm like, oh, I can't take it. It reminds me of my dad and my brother who are also like that.
Isn't that crazy? The family dynamics of the repeat.
Drives me crazy. And I'm just like, I can't handle it. I can't take this, you know?
Right.
So let's just stop talking. And I look to my husband and say, you're the adult. So stop it. Stop debating with the kid. If
Right.
the kid's debating back and, you're starting to get more angry or aggravated, really, just stop. Don't bait each other.
Right.
And that's what I think it is. It's a baiting kind of system where they bait each other. And I think maybe that's the same kind of thing that happens because you can't handle it. You're already sensitive. You're already not in a good mood. You don't know
Right.
why, like Tracy was
Right,
saying,
right.
I don't know why I'm not in a good mood. I'm
Right.
just not.
Right.
And then it becomes, well, let me bait the other person or the one who's not in the good mood. Like, let's say you wake up and you're not in a good mood. And then Bert feels like he needs to be in a worse mood or something worse happened to him.
Right.
It's a baiting kind of,
I see what you mean.
because you feel like it's not a competition. Like that's what my line is always. It's not a competition. Just because I'm saying that I had a bad day, you don't have to say, oh my God, I had it even worse.
Right, right.
Yeah. Oh, you can't even imagine. It's not commiserating.
Right.
It's more competition.
Right.
And it baits me into feeling like you're not just saying, I'm sorry you had a bad day.
Right, right.
Because it's not about your day. It's just about my day.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that I'm in a crappy mood. I don't feel well or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I don't need a reason why you don't feel well. Or I don't
Right,
need a
right.
reason why you don't need to tell me that because that makes me angrier. It sort of like feeds into something.
Yes, it's not a validation of your feelings.
Yes.
It's kind of a stepping over your feelings to place their feelings. And you go, well, wait, you just stepped over mine.
Right.
But I didn't say that to have you step over me and place feelings. I said that to be heard and have some compassion. Well, that's maybe what I mean.
I heard
somewhat,
you say that
but
Bert gets freaked out that you're mad because he did something, and then he gets mad because he didn't do anything. That's what I heard you say.
wait, what?
You said that you get up and Bert's like, well, why is she in a bad mood? Oh, what did I do?
Yeah,
did I do
yeah.
something
Yeah,
bad?
yeah,
and then
that's
he
right.
gets bad, and then he's like, well, I didn't do anything mad, so why should you be mad at me? When in
That's
essence,
right.
you're not mad at him. You're just grumpy. But
I'm just
he
grumpy,
is very
yeah.
sensitive, and he comes
He's very
from
sensitive.
sounds like a place of fear in that moment, which has nothing to do with you. It has to do
That's
with
right.
his history.
Right.
And so, that's a therapy thing.
And with my, well, the problem is with my history, because I grew up just self-regulating to the point of being unhealthy so that I didn't cause conflict in my household. So if I got up sick, I would go to school. And the school would send me home from school because I was not going to upend the balance in the house.
Right.
That was too threatening to me for whatever reason. So it was much better for me to be sent home by the teacher,
Right.
than for me to say, "Oh, I don't feel good today." That was that was not good. So I think that replicates that pattern. What I'm trying to say is, I'm afraid I'm going to start replicating that pattern again of I wake up feeling like shit, but I've got to act like I don't feel like shit so that I don't disrupt this household. Because as much as I didn't marry my mom, I sort of did.
Yeah. It's always that way, right?
Yep. He's not my mom. He is far more caring, loving, compassionate, far more accepting, can see who I am, but he is very self-focused. And and he is very sensitive. She was not sensitive. She was mentally ill. So then you go, for me to wake up in a bad mood, she wouldn't think, well, did I do something wrong? She would think, you're an asshole.
Right.
Now you're a fucking asshole. Now
Right.
you've ruined my day because you're an asshole.
Right.
Where he's not doing that. He's going, wait, you're in a bad mood because what'd I do? Did I hit you in the middle of the night while I was asleep? No, you're mad at me? Well, I didn't even know I did that. He'll create this whole scenario that doesn't even really exist because he feels insecure because I'm insecure. I'm not insecure. I'm off balance. So my lack of balance transfers to a lack of balance in him. So
it all equals a heck of a lot of work for
Symbiotic
is.
relationships.
Yeah.
I can't speak to, as you guys have been married forever, and I've gone through 2 of them. So I was sucked at those, but I made not great choices. I'm going to tell you the thing that's worked with my relationship now.
please.
Okay.
Have
I'm not
at
an
it.
expert.
That's why I want
Because I
advice.
really started looking, okay, what could I have done differently? I don't do blame. What could I have done differently in those relationships that maybe could have got us to a different place, right? Where's my accountability on this?
Right.
And go to an amazing life coach who used to be a priest and has read Rumi and 10,000 different books. And he is like this vast well of knowledge for me. But coming curious, I started this relationship with Cause. He's super present, very honest, too honest sometimes. Love him, but scary. We decided that we were going to always know that we were on each other's team, on each other's side.
Right.
And we physically said it to each other.
Yeah.
We are on each other's side all the time. So I go in curious. And if he says something a certain way, I know because he loves me, there's no way he wants me to feel the way I'm feeling right now. So I go, do you want me to feel like this, whatever I'm feeling at the moment? Let me check in with you. Because right now I'm feeling really shitty about what you just said. He can't make me feel shitty. My reaction, blah, 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 is my responsibility. But I check in with him. Oh my God, no. That's not what I meant at all. It takes the charge of the personal attack away when you get curious and check in with them to see how they really meant it to be delivered. Because so many times we say stuff differently than we actually want to because of whatever else is going on in our lives.
Yep.
And it's really diffused a lot of potentially, because I'm not a fighter. I came from a rageaholic, crazy fucking household.
Yeah.
And I don't yell and fight. I don't like it. It scares me. That knot goes in my stomach. So this has been my tool for checking in to like keep it real and in the moment.
Right. Curiosity.
Yeah. Being curious. Like confused. Like, whoa, wait, what? And that has taken it out of anger.
Well, can you teach that to Bert? Can you teach that to him?
Share that with Bert.
Well, you know, because I think well, maybe I don't always do that, but I think I do have that approach sometimes. But sometimes I know, let me put it this way. After I had Isla, I think I went through a type of postpartum depression that was anger. It was not, I wasn't crying. I wasn't incapacitated in the bed. I wasn't sad. I wasn't lethargic. I was mad. And it was a hormonal problem. They put me on birth control pills for hormones after I told her that, and it stopped.
Wow.
So that, and I would be so angry and not understand why I was so angry. I mean, like I was throwing things in the house, not in front of my kids. I'd always go in the room and like, and then come back out like Susie Sunshine. And I just didn't feel like, Bert didn't process that very well. And it's hard when your brain is hormonally imbalanced to take a moment and go, let me approach this with
I think
because
it's
you're
impossible.
crazy.
Because it's impossible
in that moment.
So then,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
like
the
you're
way,
in a panic attack. You know, once you turn
yeah.
around,
Yeah.
if you think you're getting into a panic attack or having one of those, you look around and you see that tunnel behind you,
Yeah.
you're in it.
Yeah.
There's no way out until you get out the other side.
Yeah, my
Right.
tactic would be more for Bert.
Yeah, I think that was my.
Very good.
And what's your? I guess what the tactic for me then would be to take a minute and try and get myself under control and tell him what's going on. I am having a hormonal moment. This is not to do with you. This is to do with something in my body I have no control over. So
Right.
can you please be patient?
Right.
And don't take this personally. And maybe with some practice, he'll get better at not. He doesn't like that feeling of disconnect. Like, because when I get in those places, I need to, I heal by internalizing a lot. Not, maybe internalize is the wrong word. I don't need someone else to help me. Like, I'll go in a room and process my feelings. I'll cry. I'll do whatever I need to do. And if I need a friend, I'll call and talk to them. But to rebalance, I don't need somebody to hug me. I didn't grow
Right.
up like that. That
Right.
to me is suspect behavior. You know, if you're going to hug me while I'm crying, you're definitely going to use that later. So I'd rather just be in a room and cry by myself, and then we can talk about it because now I'm safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
Well,
understandable.
safe is a good word because it's scary when your body's doing your body. That brings up, you know, are you your head or, you know, are
Yeah.
you your mind or are you your body? We're so, even though we're all housed in this thing, it's kind of a weird thing because we think of our body as being something that's not really us. It is us, but it's kind of separated from us.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? And I do that a lot.
yeah, right?
That's my thing. The
Yeah.
what the hell was I just saying thing.
Right.
Like you're in the middle of this awesome thought and you lose what the beginning.
Yeah,
Here's
and,
my
and,
Alzheimer's.
and
too.
that's it. That you
My
have no
Alzheimer's
control
just
over
kicked
what's
in.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing.
It is. It makes me feel like I look to the other person really dumb. Like I didn't know what I was saying in the first place.
Yeah.
Are you still talking about?
But
your
no,
body?
I was back to, I remembered what we were
Okay,
talking
yeah,
about,
good,
which
good.
is it's a scary thing not to have control over your body, your emotions, your, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. And it's frightening. Like I can't stop myself from sweating. You
Yeah.
know, or I can't stop myself from being in this mood, and I don't know why I'm in this
That
mood.
gets
What the
scary.
hell
The
is
mood
happening
thing
to
gets
me?
Scary for me.
The mood.
Yeah, the mood thing is the sweating is like annoying because I was always
Yeah.
a sweater. So I'm always dancing and training, and I was always a sweater. But the mood thing, that does scare me, and the forgetting thing. I just watched my stepdad die of Alzheimer's. I'm like, no, I'm not ready yet.
Right?
Because I'm starting to really get that sense of mortality.
Right.
Like I'm
Yeah.
really looking at my life insurance. Like, is it right? Is everything in the trust?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
what happens if I drop tomorrow?
Yeah.
Who are my kids going to? I'm flipping out about that right now.
Right,
But the
right.
menopause is all part of that, you know, passing of time and era. And here I am at, this part where I thought my mom was really old. Oh, here I am.
Yeah,
Right?
I've arrived here.
Right?
Yeah, I know when I was reading up about menopause, one of the websites said the mood swings is debated, whether it's hormonal or if it's the time of your life. If there's so many things transitioning and moving around because kids are leaving home, you know, weight gain happens, so your self-image changes. Some people change careers or change careers involuntarily at this age or around this age. I guess the average age for menopause is 51, but it starts, I guess, it said from 45 to 55, but 51 is the average age.
What's the average length?
Well, what they here,
And it really doesn't matter what the average length is because everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
You know,
it says,
And mine was really easy, you know, or like I didn't notice it because I was on, you know,
yours was a breeze.
I know, like everybody
I'd
take
like
yours.
It says menopause is defined as having no menstrual period for 1 year.
Okay.
That's the definition. So it should be 1 year, but obviously it's not. It is what it is.
Yeah, they're
for
liars.
People.
They're just liars.
You know, I had.
length of perimenopause is 4 years, but some women this stage may last a few months or continue for 10 years.
Right.
Oh.
That's perimenopause.
A decade.
Right. That's perimenopause.
Well,
yeah.
I got tested. I had my first son when I was 41. I had my second when I was 44. And
Good for you, by the way.
before, thank you.
Yeah. Good for you is right.
Well, you know what? I don't want to turn this into an
No,
80s
please,
thing
whatever.
or younger years, but when I was in college and when I was getting out of college and growing up and, you know, going into the workplace, that's what was expected of you.
Yeah.
This was in the 80s. This was Gloria Steinem saying, you know, it's not enough for women. And a lot of my friends who are feminists get really angry with me for saying these kind of things. But I grew up in an era where it was not okay to get married and have a family right off the bat. You had to go to New York.
It was invalidated.
Right.
Yeah.
You were not cool because then you were the old housewife. You were, you know, allowing the 50s woman to
Hardest
live on
frickin'
and
job
stuff.
there is, by the way.
So,
Stay at home
I
mom.
know.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
hardest job.
So
Props
we
to
were
everybody
all
out there who
like
does it.
more than encouraged. We were expected to go and take a typing test because that's what you did if you were a female and get a job in the city. I grew up on Long Island. Get a job in the city and start a career and have a career and break that glass ceiling because somebody has to do it and you have to be involved because if you're not involved, then you don't count. So I spent the first part of my adulthood busting my ass, working really hard, enjoying a lot of it, but busting my ass to get to a point where I had a career that if I wanted to have a family, I needed to have this taken care of.
Right.
And, you know, that would be part one. And then part two would be, well, I've made this career for myself and I either keep going with it and have a kid, drop a kid and just keep on going with it.
Right.
Or I have to have everything wrapped up nice and tidy, then have the family life as part two.
Right.
So I felt like I got to a place when I was about 40 where I had all of that.
Right.
And now I could focus and be with my kids. I wouldn't have to work because I had a lot of money that I had saved up. I made good living, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And then I lost it all in, you know, when the market dropped.
Right, me too.
So a lot of people, well, yeah, it's
yeah.
you know, big story for people of around, I guess, our age. But that whole idea of having to go to work and become somebody and make sure that you were rising to the top and everything, I think really fucked up a lot of people. And I would claim that I'm part of that because like when I wanted to be with my kids, I always wanted kids. I didn't want to have a child at 40 necessarily, but I feel like I lived in that era where I had to get my career going and out of the way in order to allow me to have children. And because I wanted to be with my children, I needed to really wrap it up and make sure I was successful and that I had money and all that kind of stuff. And having them later in life was fine for me. I really liked being with them and I had done a lot of things that I wanted to do before, like a ton of traveling and all that kind of stuff. So I was primed and ready to have a family life.
Yeah.
It didn't work out exactly as I had hoped or thought it would, but what does really? And then I lost my train of thought again, damn it.
Train has left the
The menopause train. Jump the track.
menopause,
I
yeah.
know.
But what were we talking about?
we were talking about, she said kudos to you for having kids in your 40s, and then you started talking about why that
where I was
happened
going
the way
with
it
the kids.
happened.
Oh, I know.
Okay, yeah.
See, here we go again.
Trey's back on track.
Is that when I was having symptoms after I had a great first pregnancy. Like, I could have lived my life that way. I was happy carrying that thing around in my belly. It sucked all the fat out of my body, and it was right here like a basketball. I had a great time. And then I wasn't feeling so great a couple of years later, and I went and had blood tests, and they told me I was in perimenopause. And I said to them, I think I'm pregnant. And I still got my period, and they took blood tests, and they said, no, you're not pregnant, and you're in perimenopause. And then I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So I had Griffin.
Wow.
And so after him, I knew I wasn't going to have any more. Then I started having some issues. And, again, I was now mid 40s by then. And I had an IUD, so I wasn't having my periods. And I had forgotten how painful they were and how much blood there was.
Yeah.
And
Don't miss them at all.
right. And I was starting to feel my stomach was feeling hard and stuff like that. So the IUD was going to come out in like a year or something. It was almost up to the time. And I wasn't feeling that great. I went to the doctor, and she did a sonogram, and she said, it looks like you might have some fibroids and stuff. So she sent me to to check it out. And they said, yes, you have some cysts and fibroids. And they said, you have a choice. You can have a hysterectomy if you want.
Oh, my.
Or we can not do it, and we can just wait for them, see if they dissolve or whatever. And I just thought to myself, I had to think about it, about how bad those periods were beforehand, and whether it was worth it for me to just get rid of that shit, because I was also experiencing hot flashes and stuff like that. And I talked to my mom, who, sailed through life.
Yeah.
And she said, get it out. Your grandmother, your aunt, your sister, everybody got to the point where they literally couldn't leave the house because their periods were so painful and there was so much blood coming out of them. So I said it to my doctor, and I said, yeah, let's go for that. And she said, okay, we can take everything, or we can leave the ovaries. Because if I leave your ovaries, then you won't go into instant menopause. If I take them, you're going to instantly go into it. And I thought to myself, what's better? Because I'm kind of a control freak. Maybe I control this shit. And I get everything out and go full on menopause, because I already felt like I was experiencing the beginnings of it. So we did the hysterectomy. I let her leave the ovaries, and two things came out of that. One, I was in menopause anyway, so I kind of wish that they were gone, because I would never have to think about ovarian cancer.
Right.
And two is that she did I had 2 C-sections. So when you have C-sections, you already, and then if you're, going into menopause or you're gaining weight or something, you get a little bit of that blurp in your belly.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't want to go into the C-section area because the same, cut, because then there's really little muscle to be able to hold it in when they close you up. So she went under it, and she did it too tight. And so now there's like a double little thing.
No.
And I'm like, really?
Oh, you're kidding.
And there's nothing. I'd have to probably go in and have them
Like tummy tuck.
cut again or something. Yeah.
Some kind of serious tummy tuck.
Some.
That stinks.
But to your point then about doing like liposuction to sort of feel better about yourself, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I mean, nobody's going on the cover of a magazine with it.
Dude, I just don't want the recovery time.
You just, what?
I'm like, how long am I going to have to lay there? How
Yeah.
much is it going to hurt? I did this to myself. Stop eating so much. Exercise more. Shut up. That's where I go.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
I
is
go.
typical for us, because we
Yeah.
put everything else on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't think to really do it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it in
I don't
theory.
either. I don't either.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. My thought always is, well, if you don't change your lifestyle, it's just coming back.
Except
Right.
I think like the fat cells in that area are gone, so maybe your ass just gets bigger. I don't know.
And then you take it out of your
goes
ass, and
somewhere
your
else.
one knee gets
Right.
really huge.
Right?
You gotta walk. You like push around one of those scooters.
Walk around like you have gout. Something
Right,
coming out
one
on the side.
big-
Oh, those scooter things.
Yeah.
What is with that? It's
I
like a
don't
medieval
know.
torture device in the 2000s.
So
I don't
funny.
know.
Why
I
do
don't
they
know.
prescribe those for people?
I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
It
those
is
things.
ridiculous.
So the other symptom I've heard from girlfriends about menopause that I very, very gratefully have not experienced as of yet, give me something to knock on, is the vaginal dryness.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I've heard about that too.
Yeah.
Did either of you have any of that?
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also had the hysterectomy, so there's nothing coming out of
got
me
it.
anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, got it.
So
Yeah, I don't even know how that works. there's nothing.
There's nothing there. Like, it's like, when was your last pap smear? I'm like, about 5 years ago when they took everything out.
Right.
I don't have to have them anymore. And so I think that there's also you don't need that stuff. So if there's an issue going on in there, get rid of it.
Right. Take it out.
Yeah, because you don't need it. And it doesn't really alter. To me, I mean, I know that they say a lot of women feel like they're not feminine anymore, or they're not a female because they don't have a uterus.
Really?
But I'm like, get that out. One less thing to worry about.
No, I know. One of my
things to worry
friends,
about.
very young, had breast cancer. Very young. Her second kid, I guess she was probably barely 40. And the doctor was like, we need to take off your right breast. She was like, take the left. He was like, I don't need the left. She went,
Right.
I don't need the left either.
Right.
Take it off. I don't want it. I don't want
anything lurking.
Take
I
it
don't
off.
want to
Take it
know
off.
anything about it. Yep.
So he was like, but seriously, I mean, that's a major, like, double amputation, basically. And she was like, just take it. I don't ever want to do this again.
Right.
Take it. So I think he did. Took them both off. And she's like, whatever. I'd rather, if one of them's got it, then the other one could get it, and let's just get rid of it.
Angelina Jolie did that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was
she
like,
did.
Boy, did she get crucified for that?
Yes. Yes, she did. Which is crazy because, you know, it's your life.
Personal choice, man. Shut
Right.
up. I
Right.
always say, if you don't have boobs or uterus, don't tell me what I can do with them.
Right? That's very,
That's my motto.
yeah. Good motto. I like that
Even if you
motto.
do have them, don't tell me.
Yeah, you
My choice.
Do what you want with yours. Let me
Right.
do what I want with mine. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, even if you do.
Yeah.
So that's the only other symptom that I've kind of heard of.
Yeah, I was listening again to a news story on NPR. Just after I had talked to you guys about doing this, I was driving home, and this woman was talking to 4 women in Africa about menopause and how menopausal women are treated in Africa, and how their value is just gone. And this one woman was talking about having vaginal dryness, and how, you know, her husband just does not understand what that's about. I mean, I think this is going to sound crazy, but I think men think that if a woman has wetness, she's horny. And yes, you do get wet when you're horny, but guess what? You're wet other times too. That has nothing but to do with nothing. And so the reverse is true also. You're dry sometimes when you are horny, and you are dry sometimes because you are hormonal. And I don't think men understand that. I think there's a lot about the female functioning that men don't understand.
Totally.
And what's good about this podcast, I have a lot of men subscribers, which really surprised me because I figured all of Bert's followers' wives would listen. But that hasn't really been the case. I've had so many men email me and say, I didn't understand that's what was going on for my wife. And I actually, now that I've heard you and your friends talk about it, I now understand that she was trying to tell me the same thing. But I just didn't get it.
Didn't
but
hear
yes,
it. Right.
it's too personal, right?
Yeah.
So...
And that goes also into that dynamic, like we were talking about before.
Yes.
Where
of the baiting.
Right.
And yes, of the, well, you said, well, it's not my fault.
And you don't have to have a problem just because I have a problem.
Yes.
And I'm just telling you, I'm not looking for you to do anything.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Yes.
I mean, every book says that men are geared to solve problems. So the minute we start telling them about our day, they think in their head, we're saying, can you please fix this for us, when we just want to be heard. Now, sometimes I want it to be fixed, but most of the part, I just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I do love about Cause is we don't get mad at each other for being mad. Like when he's in a bad mood, I don't get in a fight with him about it. He's allowed to be mad.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
Or in a
allowed
bad
to be
mood.
grumpy or mad or like whatever. I'm like, dude, let me know when you're done.
Totally.
Walk
Yeah,
away.
I'll be
back.
here.
Right. Come back when you're done.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully some men can listen to this maybe, because I think men definitely go through a hormonal shift when they get older. It's not as obvious as what happens for women. It's maybe not even as extreme, but I think it does happen. And, you know,
They may not be talking about it.
they may not be
because they're not
talking
really
about
programmed
it.
to we're programmed to discuss this shit. That's why we have
are.
girlfriends too, because we can relate. And you know, my joke about the Golden Girls is true. Like
Right.
getting older and just being with your girls in a house.
Yeah.
You know, we get it. We understand
Totally.
what you're going through. It's not that easy.
Well, the hope, I think women most of the time are wired to try and understand, maybe more than men are. That's totally a generalization, obviously.
Right.
I
But
think it's getting better.
it's getting better for sure. And being able to eavesdrop on conversations like this. I would love to eavesdrop on a man's conversation about how he's processing his wife's menopause, right? So that I know what's happening for him, because
well, maybe you can invite some of them in, maybe have a man's perspective.
that's a good idea.
Like for me, I would guess that they feel powerless and frustrated that they can't help their wife.
Probably.
Because they want to protect her and love her and care for her, and, you know, whatever the dynamic of the relationship is. It's got to be hugely frustrating for a man to watch his woman, his wife, his girlfriend, whatever, go through this and not be able to help them.
It has to be. And they also, I wonder how many, you know, we don't allow ourselves the voice to say, this fucking sucks for me too.
Yeah.
You know, this sucks for me too. It may suck for you, but it sucks for me too.
That was my exact stance on it.
Yeah.
Is that,
My
you know,
body,
whatever
yeah.
you're feeling, I'm feeling 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And I feel that about our teenagers. Now we'll jump somewhere else. Is that with the kids, when they're mouthy or attitude, I have to look at it from that same perspective, because that's what I am,
Yeah.
you know, that's my feeling when it happens to me, is that these kids that are, you know, when my kids are being a pain in the ass to me, I have to say it's so much worse for them. With they're raging at me because they can't control themselves. It's got to be worse inside there.
You mean the hormonal and the
Yeah.
emotional and the
And
first
you have
everything.
boys, but like with girls.
And they're still emotional.
our
I feel
girls
like
are
I
don't know why I'm crying, you
I
know?
dodged
They're
a
like,
bullet by not having girls. But
You
the
have your
boys
own
get like
issues.
that too.
I mean, I have Xander,
Yeah.
who's a little different, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Like in
My
terms of
boys are
typical.
emotional,
Yeah.
and they admit it when they don't know why they're in a bad mood,
Yeah.
and it's upsetting to them. They have no control
Yes.
over themselves.
It's the lack of control. You know, they're at that age too where they feel they should or / deserve a certain level of independence.
Yeah.
But I think they instinctively know they can't handle that.
Yeah.
And that makes them angry.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I should be able to drive.
Right.
But I'm not old enough to drive, and I'm angry that I'm not old enough
Right.
to drive.
And I think a
yeah.
lot of it is fear too.
Probably fear of the unknown. Everything's
Yeah.
new.
Griffin actually came out to me and had said, I kind of wish I was still little, because more things are coming at them now,
Yeah.
right? And he's in 7th grade, so he's expected to do more and be more and know more and understand and, you know, and he's like, I just sometimes wish that I was still little.
Me too.
Like life was easy and
Me
somebody took
too.
care of me, right?
Although mine was off.
Well, the good thing about you guys is you went through menopause before your kids went through the teenage years. What's interesting for me and Kathy Fromkin and a lot of my friends in that kind of age bracket, we're in Kathy's like a couple years younger than me, I'm 48, is that we're going to have teenagers at the same time we're in menopause, in theory.
Yeah.
That's going to be a night.
Well, I sort of had that with Graham.
Feeling. Oh, yeah?
Well, because he's 15. I've been going through, I mean, I feel like I'm still going through it. I mean, Chinese herbs are the next thing.
Yeah.
So, and
I have
and acupuncture.
Chinese herbs have helped me with so many
They
different
did help
things.
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the acupuncture too, there's certain areas.
Yeah.
So I'm going to a new acupuncturist right after this.
Oh, cool.
And because my acupuncturist moved, but she was really able to help me
Oh, that's good.
with some of the night sweats, the hot flashes, and carpal tunnel is the other thing, by the way, that I feel with menopause has been
Like an inflammation
much
thing?
more prevalent. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's caused obviously by working on the computer and stuff like that, and carpal tunnel from working on the phones. But I'm not able to reduce the inflammation enough to control it. I think
Get
that
tested for Marcone's. No, I'm kidding.
no, I am. I am going to do it. I'm going to ask my doctor about it.
He may not know what it is, and he may not have the ability to
I'm going to
test you. And if not, I
bring
will
the phone
give
to
you,
him.
Give
Oh yeah,
doctor-
definitely.
I will give
Yeah,
you her
definitely
number
give us the
later.
name.
Yeah, I want her number too.
Yeah,
because I very much believe in East West. But
I just love she's an MD and holistic.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you get both,
amazing.
so
Yeah.
not just
totally amazing.
you know, not a witch doctor with sage running
right,
around
right.
you.
I hate
Although
the
I
smell
like
of
witch
sage.
doctors with sage. I
can't
like sage.
I hate the smell
I
of sage.
sage.
Oh, I smudge everything.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, I smudge everything.
I
I'm a
had
smudger.
sage sorbet once. That's the only
Oh,
thing.
you don't even
that,
like to eat it.
What?
You don't like to eat it, or you don't like the smell
I
of
don't
it?
like now. I don't like anything
It's
about
strong.
it. It's the
It's
one thing
strong.
that made me get sick when I was pregnant was
No,
the sage sorbet. I was like,
That's
Oh,
an
no.
Set me
interesting
over the edge.
combo. Okay.
Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing. All
I feel like
this
we're
stuff.
adult ADD all over the place.
No, that's
that's
what
what
this
it
stuff.
does.
But isn't
Okay.
that what a regular conversation is?
Yes.
So
But we
because
brought
this
up,
is
I
your
think,
first
the
time,
majority of the
I hit all the
symptoms,
points.
right?
Yeah. when I started this, I was listening to podcasts and I was like, I want a podcast where I feel like I'm in the living room with people having a conversation. And sometimes the conversation is focused, like on menopause, and sometimes it's just not. And sometimes it's serious. And just like when you go have drinks with a bunch of girlfriends, sometimes you get into deep, serious shit. Sometimes you talk about, your period. And sometimes you
usually
bullshit about nothing. So that was my intention for this podcast to be kind of whatever it was.
Right.
Here's what
Free
we're going
flow.
to talk about it, and let's talk about it however we talk about it.
We started a topic once.
Oh
and
my
we
God,
talked
she
about
totally-
something completely different, and we've never talked about it. It's
She
hilarious.
totally, I had her and Kathy Fromkin come over and I was like, let's talk about gadgets, like what gadgets you use to help you with shortcuts. This lady sits down and goes, so my daughter came in the room and asked me last night, how do you know if you're gay? And I was
Straight.
like,
How do you know if I'm straight?
And so I was like,
Well, that's an interesting question.
isn't it? And the
Yeah.
whole episode became that, and we've never done one about the gadgets. So I
Yeah.
got to go back to the gadget one because that's far more interesting than
I
my
don't know- I
Instapot's
don't even
amazing.
know, like how it
Yeah.
came up.
You
Like I
know?
think you said something about something else, and then I went to that, and then it was never about gadgets.
It was never
We
about
have yet
gadgets.
to do
Then we
gadgets.
started Googling LGBTQ terms
and all
what
the
they
flags
mean and how to use
and
them.
the colors and the it was hilarious.
It ended up being, I learned a lot in that episode.
We must have offended so many people.
I've only heard from one person who said, I wish you would have someone on that is in the LGBTQ community for that episode.
Dude,
And
we're in the
then-
neighborhood for it. No problem.
Yeah.
Right? But I thought to myself,
You didn't start it out that way.
we did.
It was organic.
That wasn't the
Yeah.
intention.
Right.
This was an organic conversation. If I had planned it, then I totally would
That would be
have
awesome.
invited. And I'd be happy to invite someone from the LGBTQ community and talk about that. But we were going to talk about Instapots and Roombas.
Yeah.
And we
We're
ended
talking
up
beef stew and rice. So
right. We are talking about, LGBTQ. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what I want this to be. So if we sat down today and talked about, we didn't start out talking about menopause. I don't even
No.
remember what we started talking about. So if the
Because-
whole episode had been that would have been okay too.
yeah.
Because everybody that comes in here is dynamic and awesome and interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.